Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mira Sania, and I will be serving as your moderator for this session. It's a great honor to welcome you all to the International Conference on Interdisciplinarity for Sustainable Development 2025, organized by APTISI Commissariat 6B in collaboration with Universitas Informatika dan Bisnis Indonesia. We truly appreciate your presence today and hope the session will be insightful and engaging for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce our distinguished speaker for this session, who are students and alumni of Universitas Informatika dan Bisnis Indonesia, Miss Anggan Dini Wanodia Gute Ulaya, Accounting Unidi, Lesti Raistu Oktaniva, Manajemen Unidi, Decikal Zikro Amalia Hoirin, Manajemen Unidi, Dita Dara Dinati Visual Communication Design Unidi, the last Mr. Fikri Muhammad Fahmi, Informatik Unidi. Okay, before the presentation begin, I kindly remind all participants to maintain an order and keep microphone mute during the presentation. Post your question in the chat book or use the raise hand feature. Participate actively during the Q&A session after each presentation. Your cooperation will ensure a smooth and productive session. Okay, without further ado, I am pleased to invite Anggan Dini Wanodia Gute Ulaya to present. The presentation will last approximately 10 minutes, followed by Q&A session with maximum of 2 questions or 5 minutes. And Anggan, are you ready?
Ready, Miss.
Okay, Anggan, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respect, ladies and gentlemen, honorable committee members, and all participants whom I respect. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to present my research paper today. My name is Anggandini Wanodiagoto Ulaya, and I represent the Faculty of Economics and Business of Indonesia, majoring in Accounting 2021. Today, I will present the results of my research entitled The Influence of Profitability and Capital Structure on Stock Price, Empirical Study on Cigarette Subsector Manufacturing Companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange in 2019 to 2023. The manufacturing industry is one of the main pillars in a country's economic development. The development of the manufacturing industry, particularly in the tobacco processing sector, significantly contributes to Indonesia's financial strength. The tobacco products industry contributes to national economic growth by being one of the large contributors of excise revenue for the state. To support the acceleration of national economic growth, the Indonesian government considered the capital market as a tool to rapidly advance the economy. Stock price in the capital market reflect a company's ability to manage and expand its wealth and serve as a benchmark for investors. Stock price in the capital market constantly fluctuate over time. The decline is most likely influenced by several external factors, such as increased tobacco excise tariff, uncertainty due to the 2019 election, and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic that began in 2020 and placed significant pressure on the stock market for several years afterward. One of the main factors often examined in relation to stock price is a company profitability and capital structure. The net profit margin fluctuates from year to year. In 2019, the net profit margin was 5%, rising to 6.84% in 2020, then declining slightly to reach a low of 5.81% in 2022. However, in 2023, the net profit margin increased significantly to 7.62%. This indicates that the company is increasingly efficient in generating net profit from sales. An increase in net profit margin should be positively responded to by the market with rise in share price, as it indicates improving company performance. However, in reality, share price have stagnated at a relatively low level. The average debt-to-equity ratio graph shows an increasing trend from 58 in 2019 to a peak of 60.98 in 2022, then declining to 54.33 in 2023. This indicates that the company had increased its use of debt, but began to reduce in 2023. A declining debt-to-equity ratio and increasing net profit margin in 2023 should have driven share price upwards. However, the stock price has remained relatively stagnant. This indicates a divergence between market theory and reality, likely caused by external factors such as investors' sentiment or the economy ongoing recovery. Next is game theory. The game theory is signaling theory. Signaling theory refers to action taken by company management to indicate to investor how management views the company prospect. This theory explains why companies are motivated to communicate or disclose financial information to external parties. Next is applied theory. The first is stock price. A stock price is a share value on the stock exchange at a specific time determined by market participants, where the value of the share certificate reflects the asset of the company issuing the shares. Stock price fluctuates or change depending on the strength of supply and demand for the share in the capital market. The second is profitability ratio. In this study, the profitability ratio used is the net profit margin formula. This ratio was chosen because it shows how much net profit a company generates from its sales. The third is capital structure. In this study, capital structure will be measured using the debt-to-equity ratio, as this ratio can measure the extent to which a company is financed by debt compared to its equity. The debt-to-equity ratio indicates the company level of financial risk in meeting its long-term and short-term obligation to creditors. Next is population and samples. The population is cigarette subsector manufacturing companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange in 2019 to 2023. The sample criteria is companies that did not publish their annual reports consecutively from 2019 to 2023. So the total sample is 20. The test results show that net profit margin has a positive and significant effect on stock price. This means that the higher the profitability, the more likely stock price are to increase. This indicates that strong financial performance serves as a positive signal to investors. Debt to equity ratio has a negative and significant effect on stock price. A higher debt to equity ratio indicates a greater level of debt, thereby increasing financial risk and reducing investor confidence in the company. Net profit margin and debt to equity ratio have a significant effect on risk on stock price. This implies that investors assess both profitability and capital structure simultaneously when evaluating a company stock. The study concludes that profitability is measured by net profit margin, has a positive and significant effect on stock price. Higher company profitability increase investor interest, which in turn increase stock price. Capital structure, as measured by two debt to equity ratio, has a negative and significant effect on stock price. High debt use increase financial risks, thereby reducing investor confidence. Simultaneously, profitability and capital structure influence stock price. This means that companies must pay attention to both factors to maintain their stock value in the capital market. The study confirmed that a company internal financial performance plays a crucial role in attracting investor attention and determining stock price movement, particularly for cigarette manufacturing companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the 2019 to 2023 period. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anggan, for such an informative and comprehensive presentation. Now we move on to our Q&A session. Anggan?
Yes.
Yeah, Q&A session. Due to time constraint, we will be talking only one or two questions from the audience. Our first question in the chat room. In the chat room, why did you cost net profit margin atau NPM as the sole measure of profitability instead of using other indicator such as return on asset ROA or return on equity ROI? Okay, Anggan, you can answer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question. Net profit margin was chosen as the profitability indicator because it directly reflects how efficiently a company convert itself into net profit compared to ROA or ROE, which consider total asset or equity. NPM focus on the company operational efficiency and bottom line performance. Since this study emphasized stock price response to financial performance, in the cigarette manufacturing sector, NPM was considered the most relevant measure to capture the company ability to generate profit from its core business activity. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you, Anggan. This was indeed a very comprehensive presentation. Now, as we move the next session, it is my pleasure to welcome Resti Restu Oktaniva. Resti, the screen is yours.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I'm Resti Restu Oktanova. Thank you for attending this seminar. Without further ado, I will begin my presentation about the influence of fair conformity and shopping enjoyment on impulse purchase of the original Hyaluronic moisturizer on e-commerce by Generation Z in Bandung City. And next, on background, Indonesia topped the list with a project growth of 30.5%, follow Mexico with 26.8%, and Thailand with 22.9%. Other countries on the list include Iran, Malaysia, the Philippines, Peru, India, Israel, and Vietnam, with growth rates 16.5% and 22.1%. Meanwhile, the average global e-commerce growth is estimated at only 10.4%. This demonstrates significant growth trend among specific countries, reflecting the still vast potential of the e-commerce market, particularly in developing country. And the next, TikTok user in Indonesia uh, are uh, are predominantly 18 to 34, with the highest percentage in the 18 to 24 age group, or 40% and 76% of this age group actively use TikTok. In terms of gender, female users are more prevalent with a ratio of 68% or female to 32% male. Meanwhile, according Snapcart research 2020, Shopee users are predominantly aged 19 to 24, or 72% and 77% of women that they prefer shopping on Shopee. And the next, this data to one, in 2016, interest in skincare began to rise in Indonesia, and two, in 2022, the original was founded offering skincare at affordable price, and three, one of these product is Hyaluronic moisturizer. And the next, this data to free free survey of impulsive buying. And the next, this data for free first survey on fair conformity. And the next, the current phenomenon of internet advertisement and the rest of e-commerce allow consumer to easily search for the product they want or need. In the in this context, shopping enjoyment refers to the pleasure derived from the shopping process. And kalodata.co.id show that the average time spent by user on e-commerce apps 95 minutes, and the pleasure consumer feel during the shopping process can lead to a tendency to spend more time shopping and an increased tendency for impulsive buying. And the next, this data to presented of platform that consumer remember most often, and this present data for presented of platform most frequently used by consumer. And the next, this research gap uh, according to previous study by Chris Kristiawan and Wijono, and Ernayanti and Marhani, fear conformity influence impulsive buying, especially among Gen Z, whose emotions tend to be unstable. However, Lianto and Kurniawati found that fear conformity has a negative effect for impulsive buying. And meanwhile, research by Putra and Adam show that shopping enjoyment has a significant effect on impulsive buying, whereas Prativi et al. Found the shopping enjoyment has a negative effect on impulsive buying. And problem identification in this study is the inconsistency between the influence of fear conformity and shopping enjoyment on impulsive buying of Yellow-Sera moisturizer. Although consumers tend to follow their recommendation and enjoy shopping process on platforms like Shopee and TikTok, the product sales do not show consistent growth and are even decline. This indicate that despite high interest and social influence, impulsive buying remains low. This gap suggests other factors might affect consumer behavior and product sales promotion. And the next, this research objective one, to understand the descriptive of fear conformity, shopping enjoyment, and impulsive buying to Hyalocera moisturizer on e-commerce platform, and two, to find out of the extent of the influence of fear conformity on impulsive buying of Hyalocera moisturizer on e-commerce, and three, to determine the influence of shopping enjoyment on impulsive buying of Hyalocera moisturizer on e-commerce, and three, to analyze the combined effect of fear conformity and shopping enjoyment on impulsive buying of Hyalocera moisturizer on e-commerce, and three, this conceptual to research first management to marketing management and consumer behavior to impulsive buying, social influence to fear conformity, and hedonic motivation to shopping enjoyment. And the next, this hypothesis 1, fear conformity influence impulsive buying, and hypothesis 2, shopping enjoyment influence impulsive buying, and hypothesis 3, fear conformity and shopping enjoyment simultaneously influence impulsive buying. And research method, this research is quantitative and data collection techniques, and one observation to questionnaire, and three documentation study, and four literature study, and population and research, one Gen Z in Bandung City using e-commerce, and two Gen Z in Bandung who have purchased Hyalocera moisturizer, and the criteria sample this research, one Gen Z age 12 to 28, and two residing in Bandung, and three using e-commerce platform, and four have purchased Hyalocera moisturizer. And the last instrument testing, one validity test, two reliability test, and data analysis technique, one classical assumption test, and two multiple correlation coefficient, and three coefficient of determination, and hypothesis test, one partial test, and two simulation test. Okay, thank you for attend. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Resti, for the excellent presentation. Now, as we move to the next session, it's my pleasure to welcome Dechikal Zikro Amalia Koiri. Dechikal, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Dechikal, the screen is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished guests, thank you for your presence and participation in today's seminar. Introducing, my name is Dechika Zikronoyo Khairi, a student of the Faculty of Economic and Business from the Indonesia University of Informatics and Business. On this occasion, I will present the result of my research entitled The Effect of Beta Stock and Frame Size on Stock Return in the Banking Sector of the Bank Group based on Core Capital 2 listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period 2020-2024. So with this, let me start my presentation. I will first explain the background of my research. The banking sector is a sector that has a very important role in the financial system in every country. The banking sector is one of the institution that has a function as an intermediary between parties who have funds and people who need funds, and bank can also help facilitate the economic growth. Economic stability in a country depends on the health of the banking sector. Banks that operate efficiently and transparently can increase public confidence in the financial system. Companies in the banking sector are divided into several groups based on the category of bank based on core capital or KBMA. In this study, the bank group used by researchers is Bank Group 2, which is a bank that has core capital of more than 6 trillion to 14 trillion. After the COVID-19 pandemic, the banking sector experienced a number of significant changes, one of which was that banking stock return experienced interesting dynamic. After a sharp decline at the beginning of the pandemic, the banking sector saw signs of recovery. This could increase demand for credit and other financial services again. It can be seen in the stock return table that there are several companies that have a capital gain value in a negative state. This can be interpreted that the selling value of the asset is lower than the purchase value. In addition, there are some positive company capital gain results, but the resulting value is still below the average industry capital gain. Next, we can see the result of the beta value of the stock. Based on this table, there are several negative beta value. A negative value on a beta stock indicates that the stock moves in the opposite direction to the market. This means that when the market rises, the company's share price tend to fall, and vice versa. Factors that often occur due to the negative beta value are economic conditions. When economic conditions are uncertain, stock can increase because investors switch to more stable and defensive assets, creating a negative beta. In addition, in this table, there are also beta values that are more than 1. This means that the value of the stock is more volatile and risky than the market as a whole. Beta value above 1 reflects that the price movement of investment instruments fluctuates more than market movement. And the last is the frame size table. It can be seen in this table that the size of the banking sector companies saw an increase in each year. This means that the company can increase its company sales and the company can also manage its employees better. Furthermore, there is a problem formulation in this study. The first, how is the description of stock beta, frame size, and stock return in banking sector in the bank group based on core capital 2 listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the period 2020-2024. The second, how much influence does stock beta have on stock return and banking sector companies bank group based on core capital 2 listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the period 2020-2024. The third, how much influence does frame size have on stock return in banking sector companies bank group based on core capital 2 listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the period 2020-2024. The fourth, how much influence does stock beta and frame size have on stock return in banking sector companies based on core capital 2 listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the period 2020-2024. Then there are also objectives in this research, namely The first, knowing the description of stock beta firm size and stock return in banking sector company based on core capital listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange to the 2020-2024 period. The second, knowing the effect of stock beta on stock return in banking sector companies based on core capital listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange or ATX for the 2020-2024 period. The third, knowing the effect of firm size on stock return in banking sector company of the bank group based on core capital listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the 2020 to 2024 period. And the last, knowing the effect of stock beta and firm size on stock return in banking sector companies of the bank group based on core capital listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the 2020 to 2024 period. Next, I will discuss the framework of Tuke paradigm and hypothesis formulation in this study. The first is the framework of Tuke. The grand theory in this framework of Tuke includes management and financial management. Furthermore, the middle theory used in this research is signaling theory. And the last is applied theory, which consists of stock return, beta stock, and firm size. The paradigm in this study has three hypotheses. For the first hypothesis, namely, there is a significant effect of beta stock on stock return in KBMA2 banking sector companies listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the 2020 to 2024 period. Then the second hypothesis is there is a significant effect of firm size on stock return in KBMA2 banking subsector companies listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the 2020 to 2024 period. And the third hypothesis is there is a significant influence of beta stock and firm size on stock return in the KBMA2 banking subsector companies listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the 2020 to 2024 period. The last one is research methodology. In this section, I will explain the research method I use, the population and sample, and the data testing technique I use in this study. This research is classified into quantitative research. What is meant by quantitative research is research that emphasizes the analysis of numerical data or number processed by statistical method. And for the method used in this research is descriptive method with a verification approach. Furthermore, there are population and sample. For the population used in this study, namely the banking sector KBME2, which is listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the period 2000 and 2020 and 2024. And for the method used in this sampling, namely the non-probability sampling method with saturated sampling, so that the sample used in this study is the KBMA2 banking sector listed on the ATX for the period 2020 to 2024, as many as 75 financial reports from 15 companies. And finally, the data testing technique that I use consists of 6 parts, the first of which is the classical assumption test. In testing classical assumption, it is divided into 4 parts consisting of normality test, multicollinearity test, heteroscedasticity test, and autocorrelation test. Furthermore, the second is the multiple regression coefficient used to determine the direction and how much influence the independent variable has on the dependent variable. Then the third is the multiple regression coefficient used to determine how much correlation occurs between the independent variable simultaneously with the dependent variable. The fourth is the coefficient of determination. The purpose of this test is to measure the extent to which the independent variable can explain the dependent variable both partially and simultaneously. Furthermore, hypothesis testing is divided into 2 parts, namely partial hypothesis testing or t-test and simultaneous hypothesis testing or f-test. The t-test is used to determine the ability of each independent variable individually to explain the behavior of the dependent variable. Meanwhile, the f-test is used to determine whether the independent variable jointly affect the dependent variable. Maybe that's all I can say. Please apologize if there are words that are not good. And the last is wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dechikal. Okay, we have now research our Q&A and discussion segment, and we have received several questions from participant, but due to time constraint, we will select only the top one question for our speaker. Our first question: what is stock beta and how does it affect stock return? Okay, Dechika, you can answer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, please allow me to answer the question. Stock beta is a measure of a stock volatility relative to market volatility. The higher the beta value, the greater the risk and potential return of the stock. If beta more than 1, the stock is more volatile than the market. But if beta less than 1, the stock tends to be stable. In financial theory, beta has a positive effect on return, but empirical result can vary depending on market condition. Maybe that's all I can answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your response, Dechika. We have received many more questions, but unfortunately, our time is limited. Some of the answer question will be addressed by the speaker via WhatsApp chat group after the session. Okay, thank you, Dechikal, for the excellent presentation. Now, as we move the next session, it's my pleasure to welcome Dita Dara Dinanti. Dita, are you ready? Dita Dara?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, are you ready?
Ready, Miss.
Okay, Dita, screen is here.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dita Daradinanti from Indonesian University of Informatics and Business. Today, I will present my design project titled Designing an Illustrated of West Java Waterfalls as visual representation of nature and cultural narratives for young adults aged 18 till 25 years old in Bandung City. The background for this project design is Indonesia is renowned for its rich natural beauty and cultural diversity. Among its natural treasures are the waterfalls, locally known as Curug. We call a waterfall as Curug, which are scattered across the archipelago, including in West Java province. Regions such as Garut, Cianjur, and Sukabumi are home to numerous waterfalls that only known offering breathtaking scenery but also hold historical value, legend, and local wisdom that shape the identity of the surrounding communities. However, with the rapid pace of modernization and shift in lifestyle, younger generation are showing less interest in exploring and appreciating natural attraction, particularly waterfalls. Many of these natural sites remain underappreciated both in terms of conservation and promotion. This raises concern about the potential loss of the site and cultural values that they embody. Why this project was initiated out of concern for the designing cultural awareness among young adults in Bandung regarding local natural landmarks through the digitally illustrated tiled Wonders of West Java Falls. This project aims to highlight the beauty of West Java waterfalls while introducing the myths, names, and local stories tied to them in visually appealing format. And how this project explored the intersection between visual storytelling, natural appreciation, and cultural heritage, using illustration as communication tools. It presents a series of waterfall visual designed in simplified STEM-like art style to encourage curiosity and cultural understanding in way that's accessible to younger audience. And this is my literature review. This concern reflected in case Curug Cikondang in Cianjur, which highlight the importance of conversation to maintain about the beauty and ecological function of waterfalls. And the illustration, according to Susanto 2070, illustration is a form of visual art used to communicate ideas or message effectively. A color. According to Sulasmi 2070, color is crucial element in visual design that creates beauty and help different between form and object. And the cultural narratives, as noted by Priyanti 2024, integrating local mystic, legend, and heroistical stories into visual media can increase public awareness and appreciation of cultural heritage. Waterfall conservation. According to Cianjur Express 2024, a conversation for efforts such as designing protected areas, conducting routine patrol, reforestation, waste management, and environmental education for local communicators are essential to maintain the ecological function and natural beauty of waterfalls. The methods. This research use a descriptive qualitative approach supported by practice based by research. The process integrates both research and design stage in ensuring the final visual product informed by cultural, heuristical, and natural context. Primary data was collected to the direct observation of waterfalls in Garut, Cianjur, and Sukabumi. Secondary data was obtained for literature reviews, cultural archive, online articles, and academic journals related to natural heritage preservation, visual communication, and tourism promotion. And result and discussion. The design outcome, a series illustration under the theme Wonders of West Java Falls. Each illustration showcases not only the visual beauty of selected waterfalls, but also integrates short cultural narratives that tell the history of or origin each location. The visual adopt a style that appeals to young adults using balanced color palette inspired by natural tones and clear composition to maintain aesthetic quality. The project emphasized both visual appeal to informative content, make it suitable for use promotional campaigns, educational materials, and social media platform targeting toward audience. And this is my creative process. The first is pre-production stage. This stage involves getting historical, cultural, and geographical reference for each selected waterfalls, visual reference including composition, line work, color schemes, and collected aligned with the target audience reference. And the second is sketches. Exploring simplified and icon-like form to suit the intended STEM styles visual concept. And the next stage is production. During this stage, the initial sketch digitals and refine using Adobe Illustrator. And the next is post-production. In this post-production stage are finalized illustration underway through the review to ensure visual consistency. The artwork were then adapted into STEM format by resizing the illustration, adding perforated edge effect, and adjusting layout margin to achieve an authentic post-STEM appearance. and mock-up were created to visual how illustration could be applied in media such a poster, postcard, and another merchandise. And this is the design result. This is the Curug Cikaso, and another design result. There is Curug Citambur, Curug Cagapati Cisompet, Curug Cikante, Curug Ngebul, and Curug Sanghyang Taraje. And this is another of the merchandise. And this is a little gift for the design result. Conclusion, the Wonders of West Java Falls project aims to reintroduce the beauty and cultural narratives of waterfalls in West Java to young adults aged 18 till 25 in Bandung City. Through the simplified stem-like illustration, the project combined visual storytelling with natural-inspired design to create an engaging and memorable medium. The final application, a stem, not only preserves the artistic value but also encourage interest in exploring local heritage. This work is expected to serve as
Oke,
a creative and relevant approach to nature and
Gita Dara,
cultural
are you finished?
preservation to resonate with the younger generation. And to this project, I hope that Wonders West Java Falls will not only serve as a visual engaging, but also an educational and cultural preservation tools. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Dita, for such an informative and comprehensive presentation. Now we move on to our Q&A session. Due to time constraint, we will be taking only one question from the audience. Our first question in the chat room. What outcome do you expect from this project? Dita, you
Okay,
can
Miss.
answer.
Okay, I hope this project can raise awareness and application among young people for the natural and cultural heritage of West Java waterfalls. I also wanted to show how illustration can be effective medium for both education and cultural preservation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dita, for both the presentation and your engaging answer. There was indeed a very comprehensive presentation. Now, as we move the last session, it is my pleasure to welcome Fikri Muhammad Fahmi. Fikri, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, Fikri, the screen is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Fikri. I'm here to present my research on optimizing IT remote workers' mental health prediction using feature engineering. Well, remote work is becoming more and more popular. While it offers many benefits, it also presents challenges, especially concerning mental health. Factors like a lack of social interaction, imbalanced workloads, and unsupportive environments can increase the risk of mental health issues such as stress, anxiety, and depression. This research is aimed to address this challenge, and the objectives are to improve the accuracy of predicting mental health in IT remote workers. The second is to integrate feature engineering with machine learning. The third objective is to compare the performance of 5 different classification algorithms. In this research, I use a dataset from Kaggle that contains 5,000 records and 20 features, including demographic, work environment, and lifestyle factors. The methodology involves several steps, like data collection. The second is data processing, which is cleaning and preparing the data. Feature engineering, which is creating new features to improve model performance. The next is data splitting, which is dividing the dataset into a 70% training set and a 30% test set. And then next is modeling, which is applying 5 different machine learning models consisting of random forest, decision tree, logistic regression, k-nearest neighbor, and naive Bayes. And the last one is the model evaluation and validation, which is assessing and analyzing the performance of each model, which is then the best model will be selected as the best models. The results shows that feature engineering was a crucial step. I've been created 6 new features to enhance the model's predictive power. Some of these new features including age group, hours worked per day, and has mental health condition, which is a binary target feature. And the models were evaluated based on their accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score. Well, the result is as follows, which is Random Forest has achieving an 83% of accuracy, followed by logistic regression, which is having 82% accuracy, and k-nearest neighbor with 80% of accuracy, decision tree with its 72 accuracy, and naive Bayes with the lowest accuracy, which is in 68% of accuracy. Well, the random forest model was the most effective due to its ability to handle complex, non-linear relationship and prevent overfitting. Although logistic regression had a slightly lower accuracy at 82%, sorry. Its simplicity and stability make it a great second choice. So random forest is the best, but logistic regression could be a second choice. And then feature engineering was a major contributor to these results. Our analysis shows that hours worked, age, and years of experience were the most significant predictors of mental health risk. In conclusion, random forest is the most effective algorithm for predicting mental health risk in this context. This research demonstrates that machine learning can be a valuable tool for early detection and intervention. A limitation of this study is the use of a synthetic dataset due to privacy concerns. For future work, I plan to integrate anonymized real-world data to improve the models. That's it. That's all of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalam.
Okay. Thank you so much, Fahmi. Fikri Muhammad Fahmi. Thank you so much for present. We have now. Sorry. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. We have now researched our Q&A and discuss segment. We have researched several questions from participants, but to time constraint, we will select only the top one question for our speaker. Our question: your model use scientific data set due to privacy constraint. How confident are you that the result will generalize to real world IT remote worker, and step will you take to validate the model figure? Fikri,
Yes.
can you answer?
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the question. Well, using a synthetic dataset allowed us to test our methodology and evaluate model performance in a controlled environment. However, we recognize that synthetic data may not fully capture the complexity and variability of real-world cases. So, to address this case, our next step is to collaborate with organizations that can provide ethically sourced anonymized data. With such data, we can validate and fine-tune the models, ensuring it's generalized well to actual workplace conditions. We also plan to apply transfer learning and domain adaptation techniques to bridge the gap between synthetic and real-world datasets. This will make the model more robust and practical for deployment in occupational mental health support systems. That's it. That's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Fikri, for the good presentation and your engaging answer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we close the session as like documentary photo. Please turn on your camera. Okay. First slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organized committee, I would like to thank you all speaker and participant for your valuable contribution today session. We look forward to your active participation in the upcoming session. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the conference. Okay, see you.